All right,
Plus the
everyone, we are
groove
back
is,
after what
well, it was
honestly
called
seems
Bust
like a
the Move
long
from
time after
Japan,
those rapid
and
daily
the
uploads
Bust the Move
finishing
puzzle
Road to
game we have
Masters.
here is called Puzzle
And
Bobble
like stated
Japan, because
before,
there's like
we
a
are
weird
again
three-way
back with
thing.
another league race. We are now on round 6
Because
of the
yay, English
Hyperdrive Division 1
localization.
season here. And yeah, as you can see, we're at Spain, and I skipped the first two
Yeah,
qualifying
Bust the Groove's a
sessions
rhythm fighting
in
game.
terms of showing you guys in this video. They're very underwhelming. Basically, I go out, set a lap,
Well, it's a rhythm game with
retire.
fighting game
You know, we're
elements.
into Q3
Kind of.
comfortably. We weren't quite
It's
looking
weird.
on to be a pole position runner here in qualifying, but we are looking
They're
good
running a
for a good
PS1.
qualifying position. And in terms of the weather for the race, you can see it there. It's the same thing that um, the game
Everybody's
did
probably sitting in the
in
pits to
last
go
week's
out at the
race at
last second.
Miami, where
Honestly, I'm going out now
qualifying was
anyway.
dry, and the visual representations, at the time intervals,
You better hope
0,
nobody
5,
folds you up on the last
15,
corner
30,
again.
etc., all
That's why I'm
say that
going
it's
out
dry
now.
for the race, but the image in the top right corner implies that it's wet. So I was wondering, is it going to start wet like last time? And as you will see quickly, that is not the case. And that kind of issue now, I'm
There are
calling it
two
an issue
cars on
because
the
the
track
game's
ahead of you.
completely unpredictable. I understand that weather is unpredictable, but you can at least generally tell, like, oh, there's a chance of rain early in the race, later in the race. The fact that it's not even close to accurate when it's set to perfect prediction, not, percentage chances, that could be an
Robbie said
issue,
it's
it just leaves
16.8
things up to
is the weather.
random luck that by the league's rules should not be up to luck. I would understand it if the game's set to, I forget what the settings call where it's percentage chances, but when we're playing by perfect weather prediction and the weather
Yeah, the
prediction
track's
isn't perfect,
crowded now. Everybody's
it
out in
doesn't
their
just
outlet.
irritate me, it irritates a bunch of people because, like I said, that's just another factor that's basically completely random that we
You
can't
got a
control
group
at
of like
all.
4 cars
And it's
behind you,
just,
about
I
10 in
guess, one of
circle.
those F1 game issues. And speaking of game issues, well, not really game issues, but lobby issues, I'll probably get
Yeah, they're
into it
trying
more
to like
later.
sort
But
themselves
something
out to
that we
give each
come
other
across
wins.
is the lobby settings being incorrect. So, yeah, stay tuned for that as we progress into the race. And this is my Q3 lap time set on fresh tires. I was making another
Yeah,
lap,
you
but
got an
it was
Alfa
a good
Romeo
lap, but
right
I made a
ahead of you.
mistake right here on the final chicane, so I just pulled it right into
7
the
seconds
pits.
ahead of you.
Didn't even bother putting up the time. It would have been last day out because I almost spun the car out. And now this is our one chance for a good qualifying lap. I'm hoping I can set a good lap because my car is
Track should
heavily
be
set
pretty
up
clear
for
ahead
the
of you.
race, as I always do. Do not want your tires to overheat on this track, like I talked about a lot in the Road to Masters, and you saw what happens when your tires do overheat. And yes, very easy to lose the car around that right-hander. You can't quite go full throttle with the setup I am running. Nice corner here early onto the throttle using the whole width of the track, and I was happy with this sector 1. Maybe a little bit too early of a turn-in point there, but still a solid corner nonetheless. I put in a lot of work as we slightly missed the apex there on my one lap pace, because that has been pretty much the only weakness to my game so far. The way I've been performing in the races themselves in terms of handling what we can control has been, honestly, I think
Kieran spun
fantastic.
ahead of
I'm
you, watch me out.
consistently moving forward, making good decisions. And here, like I said, this is my weakness, the one lap raw pace. Whether it's how I'm driving, well, it has been how I've been driving, making mistakes on my qualifying lap, but it could also be maybe how I'm setting up the car. Who knows? We're still very early in this year's game. We put together a nice clean lap, and we will see that it will currently have us at P5, which is a lot better than we have been starting. And knowing
Kieran's
that
gonna set up
I
in
am
64
very
to get
strong
us
in the
done.
wet, even
First I
being
put
in
in some lap in,
contention
right?
to run up front
Yeah,
when we get to weather running
I'm gonna
is
piss real
advantage
quick.
us as far as I can see it.
dookie.
We will
Also
fall
save
back
this
a
clip
couple
just in
more
case.
spots
Yeah.
here as the last few cars cross the line here in qualifying. And here you can see Blaze, the guy that held us up in qualifying last week's race. And another issue with the league, not just the lobby settings being incorrect, but also I put in a ticket for a incident last week, and after every race they do a race review where they say, like, hey, here's what happened, here's who got podium, and then at the bottom they address every single ticket that is submitted. My ticket was just completely unaddressed. They didn't say no harm, no foul on his part and threw it away. They didn't say he was guilty. They literally said no answer. And after this race, I said, you know, does my ticket just not exist? You know, that was kind of a big deal. That was the difference between me, you know, potentially starting 4th or 5th in that race
Seems like you're gonna be
based on what
starting
kind of
second.
pace I had and starting way back in P12, which, for those of you who saw that video, completely changed everything with how the
Riders
incidents
came out of
unfolded
nowhere
in the
and put
first
it on
lap.
16.5.
And yeah, so the fact that they didn't address that ticket at all, and now his penalty is no penalty and just get a better qualifying position. I mean, you know, it is frustrating. Like, I understand that there's humans behind this and that they are all busy, but, you know, it's the little
Yeah,
things.
Robbie's in
Like,
third.
have someone, you got multiple admins here working on multiple divisions. Just have
There's hards
someone
and
look at
mediums
the
or
incident
mediums and
tickets.
stuff.
The clip was literally not even 2 minutes long, and it's pretty cut and dry. You know, the lobby settings. You have to. Someone had to have looked at the lobby
Guys also
settings and
assuming
just
it's not raining
grazed
at any
over it,
point during the
as
race.
you will
It's
see,
11,
because these
19,
settings
27.
aren't things that were like one line. These are things that are 2 and 3 lines long, and those
Screen
lines sit right beside
25,
other lines that they would have accurately
11,
changed
19,
for us to have a
27.
formation
So,
lap.
and
So the,
30
you know,
for
it's
lap
just
rate.
these
So
little things that, like I said, we're all human. We all make mistakes.
likely we'll
But
be
the fact
going
that this
to
has
hards
happened
and
not
not
just this
mediums
season, but also
if
last
we
season
have
as
a
well,
rain
and has
start.
happened multiple times. Sometimes it affects us greatly, these
Cloudy and then rain. Cloudy and rain
situations,
at the
and
end.
other times they don't. Even when they don't, I still feel for the
Start on
people
hards
that
and go to
it
the
does,
rain.
because I know
I
all
don't know
too
if we'll
well
make
what
it
it's
that
like
far,
to be
but
on the
I'm starting
receiving end of
hards.
putting all that hard work in for practice, performing to the best of your ability, performing very well and being on for a great result, and just getting fucked out of a great result just because the admins had the wrong settings, or you know, any kind of situation that you just completely can't
Something
control at all.
tells
So
me the
yeah,
people around
whether
are gonna
it's me
start on
affected or other
mediums, and
drivers,
we'll
I still
see
feel for it
what the
nonetheless,
kid's
and I
looking like.
dislike it. Again, I appreciate everyone that works hard on these leagues. I'm coming from an angle of just wanting
have a
the
gut
best in
feeling.
terms of competitive integrity for everyone. And as you saw the weather report there, as we were setting our strategy, which we are doing hards to mediums for the same reasons that I stated in previous videos, so we're not going to beat a dead horse with that one. If you're new to these races on my channel and don't understand why you do hards to mediums instead of mediums to hards,
like most
please
people
just
are on the
refer back to
hards.
my previous videos. I explain
they
it in
need
great
short.
depth. And yeah, and as you can see with the weather, it actually says it's going to rain right at the end of the race. So, other than the
guess that's
reasons
just
I
the thing
previously
now where the
stated
weather
for
could
starting
be
on
anything
hards,
in the
we're going to
race.
start on the hards here today
Yeah.
because our goal is going to be to take
Was
the
that
hards
thunder I
all
just
the
heard
way
in my
to the
mic?
rain. And I really think we have a good chance of
don't
that
know.
because even with one virtual safety car or even a full
guess
safety
that's
car,
not alerted.
that's going to allow a lot of in-game time to pass,
Hopefully your internet
which
doesn't
just
go
means a
out then.
larger percentage of the end part of the race will be
No
under
rain
wet
currently
running.
expected, yeah.
So my strategy early on is going to
Most
be
people are on the mediums.
not pit until the rain. One.
Kieran's on the
Two,
hards,
just
Brad
hold
is
as
on the
good of a
mediums,
position I
Robbie's on
can.
the
If I make up
hards,
some positions,
Jordy's on
great.
the
If I
mediums,
lose some position
Blaine's
because
on the
people are,
hards,
you know, just
Julian
quicker
right
when
ahead
I'm on
of
the
you's
hards,
softs.
so be it. I
Looking
just
good
want
as
to be
the
in
rear
contention
pack
for a
for
good finish when the rain
Yeah,
comes,
Mr. Rage and
because
Chavez
that
and
is
Packer
where
on the
we will
hards,
be at the
Crazy
advantage.
Bill's
So
on
yeah, as you
mediums.
can see here, we do have formation
Mix of
lap, and the
mediums and
settings for
hards, and
formation lap
Julian's on
are
the softs
correct.
ahead of you.
So take note of that
huge.
as we progress in the race, and you
Mostly
guys get to see
mediums.
what settings were set wrong. You know, it's something that comes off as
I guess my gut feeling was
very
right. It was
minor
it was just
at
mostly in
first
the back.
glance, but I'll explain later just how large of a difference it makes. And again, my goal here, if someone from the league is watching this video, is not to shit all over the league. Again, these people work very hard to run such an awesome league. I am appreciative of it. I'm coming from the perspective
guess
of let's try to
if
make
the
sure this
hards can
doesn't
make it
happen
that long,
again.
hards to
And
the
if for
rain
some
seems
reason
like
an
the best
admin is
idea.
seeing this and
Well,
they
it
think,
was the
oh, it's
same
just a
how we
little
started on the
thing, who
hards.
cares? You know, hopefully my
Yeah.
explanation here will just show them how much of a
Lot of
difference,
change
you know,
between
these
now and
little
then,
setting
especially if it's a
changes
safety
do
car.
make. Because when you got a bunch of one percenters playing a game, those minor changes make all the more of a difference. And as we pull up to the grid, we're going to get our purple parking this time. Still, that last race, how I somehow missed my box. Still the only time I've done that in this year's game. Yeah, but, you know, it is what it is. We are lined up on the grid, and we will be waiting for
Let's do it.
those 5 lights to come on. As you can see, the Red Bull ahead is on the softs. So I'm hoping
favorite
with him
part.
being aggressive early and making up positions, that will do
Hear
one
me
of two
scream we
things.
in there, I'm
One,
somehow
cause
leading. I'm
incidents
kidding.
with different pace of cars in front of me that
We
allows
got
me to make up
migrated
positions,
boost.
or it puts a bubble of clean air in front of me that allows me to just flex my pace and not really get held up. And as those 5 red lights go off, it's a random catchphrase. If we launch off the line, we get a good launch for being on the hards. Our teammate up ahead does not get a great launch. The Red Bull's going to get aggressive with the softs. You can see, again, a slight desync issue at the beginning of the race. We go in way too deep there, and I had trouble on this first lap getting to grips with the heavy fuel load. I feel like I did great in my race pace practice before the race, but yeah, just it's a big change from going from light fuel to heavy fuel, and that one little mistake did cost me a position, but hey, we are still early on in the race. We will settle into a rhythm here and really start nailing in some consistent laps. This Aston Martin gets ahead of us, but hopefully that's a position we can make up sooner rather than later. And while we have slight desync here on the first lap, those issues all but completely go away over the next couple laps. And then it is smooth sailing, at least in terms of the connection as the race progresses. You can see cars ahead getting very aggressive. A whole mix of tires ahead, and that is Kieran, the pole sitter, gets spun in the corner. I forget actually if he was either spun or made a mistake himself. But nonetheless, that is him falling down the order. That's a free position for us. A very strong driver. And the current championship leader now finds himself at the back of the field. And not only is the free position good for us, but the fact that the cars were clustered ahead, clustered together up ahead, it just means, you know, even though we're down in 7th, we are not far off the lead at all. And if you were to count it there going into turn 1, maybe 2.25 seconds back from the lead, and I'm hoping that the gaps do not open up too much. I want to be as close to the leader as possible for when the rain comes. Then we will still be in contention of a fantastic finish. And my goal, honestly, is a podium. The way that we have been putting together our race pace and just making the correct decisions, I think with cars going to have to pit before the rain in front of us, that'll be some free positions, and I know I will be able to gain at least 1 or 2 positions at the very minimal once the rain comes. Add that all together, and maybe, just maybe, it could be a podium, but we will see. It is still very early, and like I always say, my mentality is just right now I'm just settling into the race, just driving the best I can drive, and we'll see where we're at, and just, you know, kind of play it by ear, like they say, you know, just one lap at a time, one decision at a time, just keep a cool head and just do what I think's the best decision in whatever situation comes up. And yeah, the Aston Martin, not too quick in front of us. He got the position on us on lap 1 because I was an idiot, went too deep. I mean, goes ghost car there for a second. I honestly don't know why that happened. One car disconnected and he's pulled over right at the front of the grid. The AlphaTauri behind was on medium tires, so he's going to be a little bit quicker than us in this stage. He gets the position on us, which is frustrating, to be honest, but like I said, when someone's on a quicker tire than you, you know, this is where I need to just keep it cool and, like I said, run my own race right now, because yes, these cars behind me are on quicker tires. They're going to be able to get by me. I just want to lose the least amount of time as possible right now. This Haas is also right on my butt behind me. And yes, the Aston Martin there, you can see, makes a little bit of mistake getting on the throttle. I think he had slight contact with the AlphaTauri, which caused his car to go ghost. And that is the position we lost on lap 1, gained back once again. And we are just within the DRS of the car ahead. And now this is the part where I was starting to get pretty comfortable with the car on the heavy fuel, the conditions, you know, the track temperature. And now you're going to see us really start to settle into this race and put in some nice solid lap times. The AlphaTauri ahead, you can see, is not really completely pulling away from us. So maybe he was being extra aggressive with his ERS usage early. And his tires could also either be overheating or, you know, they're medium, so they are going to wear out a lot faster than our hards. So I just want to keep with him in his DRS zone as long as possible to help tow me along on this slower stint for me that we are going long on. And hey, maybe we'll even be able to get the position back. Advancing forward in the laps. Now up to lap 6, you can see the situation we are in is stagnated. You know, the little bit of gap opening up in front of us. Got some cars on softer tires that are towing ahead some cars that
Julian's
are
falling
on
off
the hards like
Jordy.
I am.
Missing
And I'm
the
kind of in
sauce,
the same
starting to wear
situation,
out.
just a couple seconds back. You know, I got this medium runner with some decent pace, and he's towing us along with the DRS, which is honestly
Julian's gonna
fine by
start
me.
holding
I
people
probably
up as
could
they
be
get
a little bit
behind
more
him.
aggressive with my ERS, but I don't want to lose time battling someone unless if I know that when I pass them,
Single
I can
setup
just
to
pull
go ahead
away
and
from
run
them, or else
mediums
I'm just going to
for
continue to lose
for
more
Ranger.
time battling them
Slot
lap
is
after lap
Jordy
every time we
is-
come down this long DRS straight where most of the overtakes will be
So
happening
Robbie and Blaze ahead
in
here on the
this race.
hards.
Again, very tricky around this corner. It doesn't look like it watching this video back, but I was on the absolute limit of the grip every lap coming through that corner on these hard tires. I mean, it sounds like I'm talking bad about the hard tires, but I did like them in the race, and I'm very confident in the strategy that I'm running. So, yeah, hopefully we can just continue to follow this Alpha Tauri while he is quick, and then, if his tires fall off, get the position back, and then we'll have some nice clean air in front of us to flex our pace a little bit. And then hopefully that rain comes soon as possible. I want as much of this race as possible to be in the wet. And now on lap 8, not much further along in the race, you can see he makes a mistake getting on the throttle. We're going to use a little bit of the juice. We're going to show that we're going to be aggressive there. He sees that, backs off, allows us to go through. Probably saw that we had good pace on these hards. And just like that, you know, I might not have the 1 lap pace, but I can do what my pace is lap after lap over and over. And it looks like we got the overtake on him just in time because now a virtual safety car comes out, which honestly really helps us because for 3 reasons. 1, preserve these tires that we want to go long on. 2, slows the pace of the race down a little bit, which means slightly more of the race will be now in the wet at the end. And 3, disables both overtaking and the DRS with the Alpha Tauri right up my chuff, you know, this lap after I passed him. And you can see he goes into the pits there, which just opens up a nice gap, so I won't have to lose time fighting with cars coming up the field on faster tires behind me, while at the same time we got some clean air in front of us, so hopefully we can start making some inroads to the cars ahead. And hey, we are already up to P5, plus 2 positions already in the race, and I know that there's more cars ahead of us that are not on the hard tires that will more than likely not make it without stopping to the wet weather running. So maybe a podium isn't a stretch of the imagination and is on the cards for us in this race. We will see. And you'll see that as these laps go by, nothing much has changed right now. Just hoping that the weather changes sooner rather than later. Got some clean air both in front and behind me, and just nailing in some solid laps. As we advance now to lap 11, still nothing has changed except for that right there. A full safety car has been deployed for an incident, and you can see our teammate pits, but we don't care that our teammates pit because we are staying out. Like I said, I am taking these tires all the way to the rain, baby. We are committed to the strategy. We are confident in the strategy. We are on slightly more than 30%, but at lap 12, that means we can easily at least go to lap 24 and only be on 60%, so we can even push it, you know, to lap 26, lap 27, depending with the tire wear and how things progress. Safety car does not catch the leader. So again, this helps us because this is more time spent for everyone to go around, more time queuing up with the safety car. This is all good. This is all playing into our strategy of slowing the pace of the race down as much as possible. So the biggest chunk of racing can be in the wet first and foremost, and second of all, help ensuring that our hards can make it there in the first place. As we catch up to the safety car now, you can see cars ahead. We're not on the hards. They have pit. We have a lapped Alpine right in front of us, which is a little inconvenient. But the Red Bull of Blaze is leading, and we are in P2. And this, again, is fantastic for us. If it stays green from here to the rain, maybe a couple cars on fresher, soft tires behind catch us, as a lot of people have now pit. But we're still going to be in a really good position for when the rain comes to be able to fight for some serious points here. And it looks like it's going to be a long safety car. We are now in lap 15, And we got the last of the cars
What
joining
the
the
fuck is
queue,
this?
and as you can see,
AI controls?
this is what I was talking about with the settings being wrong. First of all, we come to learn that the
went to
safety car was
broadcast
actually
for
set
safety
to
car.
reduced, not
What the
standard,
fuck is this?
which is a mistake. The rules of the league say standard. Second of all,
I don't know.
and most obviously, the race is
Does
set
the guy know?
to have the
Did he
safety
change
cars
it?
He's
on
asking
broadcast
He's asking
mode,
what the fuck.
which brings a couple issues. Number one, the safety car lasts longer than normal, which when
Yeah,
you have
the
a
safety
changing
car's on
weather
reduced
race
and the
and
safety
time
car's
is
queued
of
on
the essence,
broadcast.
when the safety car stays out longer
guess now
than
that
it usually
everyone
would
caught
have
up,
on a
it's doing
non-broadcast mode,
Yeah.
that changes the dynamic of
So
the
they have
race
the
and changes the
fucking
optimal
settings.
strategy for everyone,
Yeah.
and no one had any clue of this. You know, that this really changes things up. Not only that, but there's issues in
I
online
don't know how this
lobbies
works. I've never done
with
this.
the AI being
it's gonna
in
drive the
control of
AI
your
till
strategy
a
during the
certain
safety
point,
car,
then it'll
and you will
gain
see
control.
under, I believe it's under this safety
Am I
car,
gonna
there is
get a
another
light
safety
countdown
car,
for control,
no
like one-shot
spoilers,
qualifying?
but well,
I
yes,
don't
spoilers,
know.
but
My tire
sometimes they
sensor
just pit
fine.
for you under safety car and you just lose all your positions. So yeah,
Hope you're getting control
for
now.
many reasons, this is a large issue, undoubtedly, especially in a dynamic weather
Because
race. You know,
if there's a
dynamic
lap or
is in the
two.
weather changing mid-race. Going to, in some way, shape, or form, screw over at least one person, if not
It's
many
not letting
more,
me hit the
in this
gas?
race. It does slightly seem to benefit us right now because
At
with
some
more
point,
laps
Jordy
done
got
under
by
the safety
Troy
car,
under the safety car.
that's more time passing in this
I don't know
race,
how that
which means
works.
the rain comes sooner, which is what we want. But, you know, that disadvantages other drivers and other strategies. And again, for me, it's all about competitive integrity. And it's just the little things. Someone looked at these settings, they would have had to because
Apparently
the safety car
wasn't
settings are
supposed to
right
be unlimited
below
in the broadcast,
formation
so
lap
what's supposed to
settings.
happen?
So these are literally like 2 or 3 lines that were just completely missed. No one even single checked it, let alone double check it.
Double-check
And
the settings?
yeah, it's just frustrating because, like I said, it's frustrating. It affects people. It completely ruins people's races when we put so
I
much
didn't wear my
practice into
tires to get the
these.
temperature up at least.
It is what it is. I don't want to be a dead horse. You guys get what I'm
And
saying
it did a
now
couple more
at
laps,
this
so I
point.
guess that benefited us, actually.
So, in the race, not thinking about that now. We are in the situation we are in, and we are still confident and focused
long
on
as weather
getting the
progression
best
time
result
went
possible.
as if those laps
We are
happened.
P2. The lapped Alpine ahead is going to be quick because he's on some fresh
I think
mediums.
saying 5 minutes
And
still
right off the
rings.
rip, I don't really have anything for the pace of the Red Bull, which is a little frustrating. But then again, my mindset, as always, just do the best I can do. Really focusing on not making any mistakes, throwing away these positions I've been gaining in the races. And I know that my time will come when it gets
You know the
wet.
tires-
Unfortunately for me, though, cars behind are on fresher, softer tires
Robbie and Troy
and
bump
are
wheels.
right up my butt. I make a tiny bit of a mistake here and going into the chicane. We get
Oh,
hit
I
in the
got
butt.
hit in the ass. You gotta be fucking kidding
Almost
me.
completely spun out. Luckily, I saved the car. I go over the sausage car on the
Yeah.
outside here to try to give people room on the inside.
Dang, people.
And yeah, that is
Oh, there goes my race.
even more frustrating to watch back. In the heat of the moment, I was like, all right, that
That was
happened.
fucking
Just
cool.
stay focused. But watching it back,
Dang,
just
people.
going from second, all that hard work so far in this race, like literally everything, the strategy that we came up with, the positions we gained so far in this race, all of that means absolutely nothing. And now we are all the way down in P10 with cars probably about to overtake us behind because they are on fresher, softer tires. And we go from fighting for a win or at least a podium
Yeah,
to
make sure
now
that's on the recording.
not even being in the points at absolutely no fault of
See,
our
this
own.
happens hard
So
to
yeah,
do this, well.
I do feel for Mr. Rage, the guy behind me that bumped me. He was messaging me after the race. He felt bad for it. I get it. Accidents happen. It's frustrating. But at the same time, all that practice you put in, we haven't stepped a foot wrong all race. We nailed the strategy.
Oh, there goes the Williams.
And at
Probably
no
the one
fault
that
of
fucking
us, it
hit me.
was taken away. And it's just so frustrating to watch back, knowing
was
all the
Mr.
time I
Rage.
spent
That's
practicing
fun.
and that whole
he
what
the
could
one
have
that was, like,
been. And it's
behind
not
me?
even one of those what could have been if I was a little faster.
I
What
don't
could have been if
remember.
I would have got a couple extra tenths in qualifying. It's just
I think
Well,
Mr. Rage
what would have been if I
What's
just
the
wasn't
lineup
hit
right
off
now?
track, you know? But
Jordy,
again,
Robbie,
I'm just
Troy,
thinking about it too much at this point. We are in P10. He ended up spinning on the next lap. So at least we got the position from
Crazy
him
Bill,
back.
Kieran,
And with
Brad
13
was
laps to
slopping
go,
you.
I'm just really hoping the rain
Like I
comes
said,
at this
was headwind,
point,
wasn't it? There's
so
no
I can
Williams
get
up
to the
there
part of the
now.
race where I know that I will be one of, if not
Yeah, I
the
guess,
fastest
if it was
cars
Williams, then it would've
on the
been him.
track, and hopefully get more than just P10 in this race, because I know that we are capable of so much more, especially considering that this is a race that we won in hyperdrive last season.
Unfortunate.
At the beginning of the next lap, though, Alpine behind gets a great run down the stretch. Nothing we can do about it. We're going to try to hold the position here around the outside, but
Yeah,
it's just too
Mercedes is
far of
gonna
a way around the track on the outside. He's going to get
That
the
is a
position
no.
to us, and once again, we fall outside of the points in this race. And yeah, at this point of the race, things were feeling pretty bleak, but as you can see, raindrops have begun to fall on my
guys are caught
wind,
the crazy
my
Safety car.
camera, I don't, whatever you want to
It's
call it.
22 laps.
And now a safety car has come out. And
I'm
just like
100%
that, that's why I
boxing
always
this
say,
on
don't give up.
broadcast.
Everything can change in a moment's notice. And that was two of the
think it's
moments
good
right
to
there,
go to
back
Inters?
to back.
Yes.
Just like
'Cause
that.
think how many
The
laps
rain
the
starts,
safety car was
and
on. Plus, what
we
the
get a
fuck do I
full
have to lose
safety
at this
car.
point?
And now is decision time. I already have the tires set for intermediates. I know I am staying on these hards until it is time for the inters. But the question is it worth risking pitting now that
Well,
it
that's
will
the
be
safety car
time
where
for the
he's
inters by the
first.
time the safety car ends? Very difficult decision that
Why
we
is
have
any
to
of
make
this
here.
happening in the first
I'm
place?
talking it over with my engineer, as always.
Blaze is pitting.
And yeah, we are always going to set the box just in case. It's always the smart thing to do, so
Robbie's
like I said, it's
pitting.
always just in case. And yes,
Jordy's
we
pitting.
are going to
Everybody's
make
coming
the
in.
decision to
So you
box.
might get held
And the
up a
main
little
reason
bit.
for my decision,
by Robbie.
usually I go with, you know, what the engineer is
Well,
telling
they are
me
going
about
to
the
entrance.
conditions. But I know that the safety car
The
is
game
going
is
to
better this year
last
with
a
double
lot
stacks.
longer than it usually would because of it being on this broadcast mode. So it's going to be another lap or lap and a half until we actually all catch up to the safety car. And then it's going to stay out for multiple more laps after that. So it made me
I
more
got held
confident
slightly.
that it would be either at intermediate
Could've been a lot worse,
times
though.
when the safety car ends or so close to it that it ends up
Couple
being the
people
smart
stayed out.
move
Kieran
to
stayed
already
on
being on the
mediums.
inters in the first place
That's
at that
interesting.
point. Seems like
Ratters and Adidas
almost
stayed
everyone
on
else made that
hards.
decision with us, so we are still
Chaza
P11
went
as
the
we
full
come out of the
wets.
pits. At least we
Yeah,
didn't
it's a
lose a
little
bunch of
much.
I
positions.
respect it.
And yeah, still frustrated that
I respect
we
it.
are currently in P11
That's like when you
and
get
not
knocked down by
P2.
a back-to-back.
We advance ahead now in the safety
He
car.
obviously had the formation.
The
lap
safety
one
car
set
settings that are
correctly.
totally correct, by the way. A league like
Oh,
this
look at
would
this
never
beautiful
make
broadcast.
mistakes with their lobby setting as we watch our car
Leslie just
go
went into
around
the
during
wall.
the safety car, which we are totally in
I guess
control
that
of,
brought the
and
safety
it's
car to
totally supposed to be
broadcast.
happening. Safety car coming in now on lap
Drivers are
27.
faster. Time did not advance.
Cars ahead, I think I've already launched. I see that. I am hesitant with the throttle. Really playing a guessing game here with the grip. And as we go to
Might wanna
green,
be
it
careful
actually
with it
was
towards the
not
track
quite
lets
time
up a
for the
little bit.
inners yet. But it still was a lot of, how should I word it? It was getting close to the crossover point at least. So I was still confident that this was the right decision. You can see the Red Bull ahead makes a mistake. That is one free position for us. We almost lose the car there. Going around turn 3.
What a save that was.
Good save there.
Yeah. It might be a
And the
little
cars ahead
tricky
are fighting
drag
very
right now.
heavily, which will hopefully give us
A little.
a couple more free positions. You know how I love my free positions in league racing. Yes, you can see we have a hard runner right in front of us who is really struggling. And I'm going to show that I'm going to be aggressive right here, and I really want to take this position. He's going to squeeze us here, so we're not quite going to get the position around this corner. But I know I need to get behind him immediately, so I'm not the guy
Slap
getting
one off in the
overtaken by the
grass.
people catching up behind. And there I make a little bit of mistake. Too aggressive getting onto the throttle, and now the
Right.
Williams gets
Spun
ahead
the
of us.
tires
We
on the
fall
exit.
back to P8,
Dang.
which is frustrating, but I know that the more wet this gets,
He has
there's
a
going to be
3-second
more free
penalty.
positions coming our way.
Yeah, but he's also
The Mercedes is getting
Fucking
loose.
way.
I'm looking for every opportunity for an overtake as possible at this point.
He shoved in Bratters
Still
in the
frustrated
mud.
about what happened.
Yep,
And
he
once
hit him in
again,
the
the
butt,
Williams
too,
gets
around
into the
fucking
back of a
chicane.
car. And this really holds me
Nice.
up
Keep that
because
first
I got to
speed.
slow down to not make
Twice.
contact with them. So once again, I'm losing positions because the
slowing position
Williams
'cause I'm so
is
fucking
hitting
held
people
up.
in the butt going into the chicane. It's just, it seems like
guess
every
Kieran's
race,
just
if
gonna
I
try
get
something
caught up
out
with
on
an
the
instant
mediums.
one person, it's not just one thing they're doing that kind of sets me back. It's multiple things, which is really
If he hits
frustrating.
now, he's gonna get passed by
And yeah,
the whole field at this
and it's
point.
just frustrating in the first place that we weren't in P2 when the safety car came in, because we would have been able to fight for a win in this race. But I've already complained enough about that. You guys are probably tired of that.
You got Adidas,
Nonetheless,
Robbie, and Menace Max on the
P8
softs
now,
behind you.
still 4 laps to go. Well, 5 laps including
I don't
this
know how
one in
good
this
this is
race,
gonna
and hopefully
perform.
we can make up some positions
Still
yet.
says
You can see more and more water falling onto the circuit. I get the DRS and the Haas ahead, and I'm
Here's
finally
gonna start
able to
holding everybody up
overtake him on
looks
lap
like.
30, the position that I shouldn't
Dropped
even
down
have
to
lost in
fourth.
the first
Oh.
place. I get a
That's
little
the
bump
Haas
on the
lead
rear
to
by him on the
5.
exit. You know, something about my rear end of this McLaren, people just must love to bump. And now you can see 3 cars all nose to tail ahead of me. So hopefully that will be
Coming
a
into
couple
a mess.
positions that we can gain yet in this race. That would put us all the way to 4th if we could somehow get in front of all 3 of the cars ahead. Advancing now, we
We're
are
on
in
the
turn
crossover
3 of the
now,
next
it says.
lap. I am getting closer to the cars ahead. We have,
still on the
I believe
mediums,
that's
so it's gonna
Sly
be
Guy
really
ahead of us.
struggling.
He is not on the wet tires, and it is way past the crossover point at this point of the race. We make a little bit of a dive bomb here. Luckily, he sees us coming.
dude, had to
I felt
dive
bad
bomb
for
you
doing it
there.
at the time, but I really had to make it happen. I couldn't waste time behind him. I'm sure he understands that this was a time where I had to be aggressive in this race. Advancing now, it
Got
is
one
the
more
end of
lap
lap
after
22.
line.
Well, 32, I'm sorry.
Make some big
We are
moves so he gets
catching
a
up
third.
to the 3 cars, I'm sorry, ahead, and we're hoping to gain a couple positions by the end of this race. The
St.
Williams
Troy
ahead of
first
us
and third,
does
so
have
you
a
can
time
get the
penalty,
third.
so that will be at least 1 position guaranteed. But I'm looking for more than that.
He crashed.
The car ahead makes a
No, and then
mistake.
this guy just
I
broke in front of me.
pull
What the
over
fuck
because
are
I
you
knew I was going to
doing?
get a great run
What
down
an
the straight.
idiot.
And again, the Williams gets in our way.
Dang.
He pulls over.
fucking
It turns out
idiot.
he wanted to give us the position because of what happened earlier, but instead he ends up just pulling ahead of us
Hopefully
on the
damage
straight
wasn't
and
too
braking,
bad. Oh,
giving us
yeah,
wing
it's orange.
damage. So, what
the
a
fuck
race
is
this
this
has
guy
been.
doing today?
Everything from the settings being
The
wrong
same guy.
to getting
Yes, of course it is.
bumped out
Dang.
of at least a podium, if not
I
a
could've got
win,
this fucking podium.
to now just being given this damage
was
at the end of the race,
way
which kept
quicker
me
than these
from
guys.
fighting for the podium once again. It's just, at the end of the day, yeah, we're running in 4th here, and we started.
That's 3 separate
I
incidents.
believe
he was the
7.
same guy.
That's
Like
still
straight
plus
over
3
the bottom.
positions and a decent finish, but you know, like I said, this is the race I won last year. Wet running is my specialty. Today should have been at the very
It doesn't
least
matter if he passes you since he
P2.
already has a 3-second
And
penalty.
that's the very least. I would have at least been contending for the win. Whether or not I would have
You're gonna
got it, I
get
don't
fourth no
know.
matter
But
what year, even if he passes
like
you.
I said, it's just so frustrating. We put in all the hours of hard work, and now this is a few races in a row. It just seems like it's always contagious, whatever my luck is, that I just feel so unlucky all the time. It's been 3 races in a row now that just get ruined at no fault of our own, whether it's an
Unbelievable.
issue with the network not allowing us to
For us to
join,
get fucked this much and still get
people
fourth, just
making
imagine what could've
contact
been.
with us, people holding
Yeah.
us up
our
and
pace when it got
qualifying.
wet.
Us,
I think he probably could've
all the
got
hours that
third.
we put into the game to get to the level
I
that we're
should've already
at,
been up
to
there
have
in the
what
first
should have
place.
been
Yeah.
podiums, if not wins, taken from us
He
at
got shoved it
absolutely
off,
no
like,
fault of our own.
earlier in the
And for it to
race.
just happen to us so regularly, so consistently,
Lost 8
it's just
positions.
unbelievably frustrating. But I'm not going to spend any more time complaining
This
about it.
guy
I'm
just
sure you guys will hear me
pulls over
complain
in
more,
front
as
of me
this
and
kind of
fucking
stuff will
brakes.
probably happen some more
Like,
throughout
what
the
the
season,
fuck
knowing
are
our
you
luck.
doing?
But yeah, it's P4 at the end of the day. Overall, in paper, it looks like a solid result. You know, going from 7th to 4th. Again, we're moving forward in these races. And the positive I can take from this is that I'm getting better at my 1-lap pace execution. I wasn't making mistakes in qualifying all the time like I was before.
Dang, people.
My race pace is still good. My strategy
Having
decisions
fourth
are
isn't
still
bad,
good.
but
I'm still being solid and consistent,
should've been better.
consistently moving forward in the races. Yeah.
It's more the fact that it's
Now, if
not
we
our
can
fault.
just not have fucking awful luck every
I
fucking
don't
week,
think I did anything
then we can
wrong in the
actually
race.
get some consistent
Put together
podiums
really
and
good
race
races.
wins and try to claw our way back in this championship. But we will see how
Stewards will
that
find
goes
some way to
next
make it your
week,
fault.
where
Stewards,
I probably
we will
shouldn't
be
say that in
practicing,
recording.
forgetting
Oh,
about
you
the
can say it in
frustrations of
recording.
this
You know
week
what I'm gonna
and
say in
getting back
recording?
at it
Stewards haven't
again.
even got to my
Thanks for
incident from
watching.
last fucking
See you
week.
guys in the next one.